Hello, hello, hello. We are back with our daily discussion. Only have a few more days to go. And today we have a very important topic for those of you that love the episode that we did on how to speak up for yourself and, stop letting people walk all over you. We are going to be talking today about how to set healthy boundaries at work. And I'm just going to give you some quick tips on how you can do so. Um, Setting healthy boundaries at work is important because it allows you to set the tone for you to perform your best work without getting taken advantage of, but or burned out, right? So taken advantage of or burned out. But what I find is that for some reason, there's this fear around having the courage to stand up for yourself because, of course, a lot of us have our workplace as our livelihood. It gives us the money to put food on our table for our family. But there is a way that you can set boundaries and do it in a respectful way without jeopardizing your job. And if you think that you can't do that, you probably are someone that has been at risk of letting people walk all over you or being disrespected or being taken advantage of or burned out, or you may experience that in the future or have experienced in the past. So I want to prevent this from happening to you because, again, good, strong leaders are able to stand strong in their conviction and set healthy boundaries, even if something is at risk. Because at the end of the day, the thing that matters when you take away all of the things that are going on outside of us is us living our life um, more self-aware and more authentic. That's where your true happiness, satisfaction, balance, peace is all going to come from. Now, before we get into the topic, for those of you that are new to our daily discussions, my name is Yashica. I am the founder and CEO of the Lind Group. Our mission is to instill these types of lessons into leaders to help them become a better leader, to lead with impact, and do it in a way that is not stressful. Too many leaders are not leading right, and they're either, number one, losing their job, or number two, getting burned out, stressed out, being disrespected and taken advantage of. And there is a way that you can do it better. 45% of leaders do it better. So which side of the coin are you on? Also, within the Lind Group, not only do we do leadership development classes for healthcare organizations, but we also, because of our expertise, can go into these organizations and we just look at some of the processes they have in place and help them optimize their operations dramatically. So that is what we do. That is why we're here. Just a little bit about me. So let's go ahead and get into the discussion. Again, I've been teaching this stuff in a variety of ways for decades. So I have some notes here to make sure that I don't forget to tell you some of the key things that I want you to know. But first, I want you to understand what are personal boundaries. And then I want you to understand what those personal boundaries look like in the workplace. Okay, so your personal boundaries are the limits that you set for yourself. So, for yourself, you have your own boundaries for yourself, your own standards, but they're also the limits that you set for other people regarding the acceptable and unacceptable behavior. Now, when you think about boundaries in the workplace, you have boundaries that are physical, emotional, and mental, and you protect yourself from overcommitting, being used, burnout, or in some instances, especially with some of the challenges that we face in healthcare around staffing, et cetera, behaving in an unethical way. So that's how it starts to transcend over to work. Boundaries are important because they're heavily tied into your self-image. There is not a client that I have worked with that has a lack of boundaries but has a good self-image. They are tied together. So boundaries impact your self-image and how you mentally see yourself, how you show up for yourself, your pride, your confidence. And it's how you see yourself as someone that has value to offer in this world. It also is important because when you have boundaries, because you think of yourself as valuable, you have pride, you have confidence, you have a healthy self image, you are able to show up and lead from a place of peace, from a place of emotional stability, and that not only impacts your professional life, but you have boundaries. So when you go home, you have more of a personal balance because you have the two don't have to intertwine as much as you think that they do. If you have trouble with this, I want you to not ask yourself or blame it on, yeah, my boss doesn't understand or this or that, because we all have choices in life. The only thing that you can control is yourself. So the first question you need to ask yourself if you don't have these type of boundaries is, how do you see yourself? How do you take care of yourself? What is your self image? Do you truly see that you have value in the world, or do you doubt yourself, or do you have limiting beliefs about yourself? Are you proud of yourself? Do you have confidence in yourself? Because if you do not, more than likely you're going to have a problem enacting boundaries in the workplace. And like I said, I've worked with hundreds of people and I have not found somebody that can say, my boundaries suck, but I have a great self image. They usually don't go together. People that are on point with their self image have healthy personal boundaries. If you're not sure if you have good boundaries at work, I want you to listen to some of the things I'm going to share with you and see if you feel any of these in relation to your job. Of course, you may feel a connection to them, maybe in your personal life, and you can take this discussion and you can tweak it for your personal life if you also lack boundaries in that area. But here are some traits that I'm just going to read off to you from my notes that I want you to be aware of, are signs that you probably do not have healthy boundaries. Do you feel victimized? Do you expect others to help you without you asking for help, right? Do you expect others to help you? Do you feel resentful, burned out, dumped on? Do you give and give and give? Or do you take and take and take? Maybe you don't speak up for yourself. Maybe you just downright see yourself as somebody that is weak and helpless. Maybe you're easily manipulated and pushed around. Maybe you have trouble saying no, and so you overcommit yourself because you don't have the confidence that if you say no in a respectful way, that wouldn't be devastating to your career, and we can say your personal life as well. Some of you think that personal boundaries is if people encroaching on you, but just like I said, maybe you take and take and take. You come in and you ask for stuff without even asking if it's okay for you to ask for stuff. But maybe you also create drama or be extra so that you can get attention. Maybe you have issues with codependency, and maybe you hold yourself responsible for stuff you shouldn't hold yourself responsible for. Or you could also not hold yourself responsible for things that you should. Because a boundary issue, again, could be you creating tension as a leader when you are blaming everybody and everything else on your success as a leader, when leadership is first and foremost about self-awareness and self-reflection. This is a big one. I almost probably every daily live stream I'm talking about this, but that's because it's so important. Maybe you have an inauthentic life. You don't know your values. You don't know what you want. You don't know what you value. And so therefore, it's hard for you to find that inner compass from which you can lead from which you can show up from. And so your relationships with your coworkers, with your team, etc., they are inauthentic, which is shows a lack of boundaries. Maybe you feel guilty or bad when you assert yourself. So again, even when you're saying no, I'm filled to capacity, or here's a good one that I used and I've never had anybody push back. I have no problem doing for you, but as you know, I have a lot on my plate. So is there something that I can push to the back in order to get this done? Or is this a priority? Simple, right? Most good leaders are going to understand that conversation, but probably 70% of the leaders I work with have a problem even saying that. Or just in work relationships, just bonding with people that you should be bonding with. And we talked about this, how you glom on to people that are negative and commiserate with you. And whether you know it or not, that impacts the way that your ability to lead from a place of peace and ease and having less stress. Now, remember, I told you that you can bring up every excuse in the book about why this is not possible for you and it's not possible in your work environments. But again, we all have choices, number one. And number two, the only thing that we can control is ourselves. So we have to just look at the things that we can control and we can fix. But know that 45% of leaders are rocking it. They're crushing it. They're not stressed. They have boundaries. They have peace. They have work life balance most of the time. They have all these things. And some of them are people that work in the same organization you work for, have the same challenges that you have. So it's not about who has it better or worse. It's about how are we coping with the things that we have to cope with. So here's what healthy boundaries look like for those leaders and what your life as a leader could look like if you had healthy boundaries. Number one, you would be more in touch with your reality, right? Remember, we talked about who you are, your confidence. Are you showing up authentic? Um, and if things are not incongruent with that and you having a confidence to speak up for yourself, how things have this ability to get in alignment with what it is that you want, what you want from your organization, or maybe you have your own company or your own practice, but you get to move more in touch with the reality that you want for yourself and your career. Of course, you have decreased stress, you have increased efficiency, and you have increased effectiveness, thereby making you even more valuable to your organization. And that's a conversation people with confidence, with healthy self-image are able to exert too. Whoever you need to have this conversation with, we're all under a lot of stress. I want to be valuable to you. I want to be valuable to the team. So what is it that we need to focus on and prioritize so that we can be more effective and efficient? And then I will circle back to whatever else needs to be done. It's not saying that you don't have a lot on your plate. It's just in learning how to communicate effectively and have that conversation with your team, with other leaders in your organization, even if with the patients that you serve. How can we be more efficient in this? How can we be more effective? Probably wouldn't want to say efficient to a patient, but how can we be more effective with the time that we have together? And then we can make time later for everything else that we may have to address, right? You also will see that leaders with healthy boundaries, they live in their truth. They have healthy relationships with their team. I don't want you coming in telling me about your boyfriend Ray Ray. And I know that open door policy for somebody means that I'm going to come in and tell you all my personal stuff and dump. And some people like that type of relationship. But again, if it's impacting your stress, your efficiency, your effectiveness, your ability to get stuff done, then it's not good for you. It's not good for your team. So maybe the kind of relationships you need to have with your team are more healthy professional relationships. And leaders with healthy boundaries also have a more stable life. They show up to work feeling more in their career. It doesn't matter how chaotic things are. I've worked in stressful environments from, if those of you that don't know, I'm a veteran, all the way to ER and all the crazy things in between. So a lot of different weird stuff. And I could tell you some stories about how crazy things can get, especially in deployment situations. However, I have never felt chaotic. I've never felt like I was out of control. And I've never felt that I myself had my stability knocked off course. And a lot of it has to do with the things that are underlying this healthy boundaries, this conversation about healthy boundaries, and if you have them or not, which again goes back to basically your self-image and how valuable you find yourself to be interacting with people and interacting with situations in your life. So we know a little bit about what it is, what it isn't, the benefits, etc. So let me give you just a couple of tips on what healthy boundaries may look like, okay? And some of it is about having honest conversations with people. especially if you have an honest conversation with other leaders in your organization. Don't discount the fact that even if you think they won't understand, if they have gotten to where they have gotten, they have either seen or experienced some of the things that you've experienced, even if they don't seem to be experiencing them right now. And so it's okay to have a conversation with someone and own how you feel. Don't make it about them or blaming or victimizing, but it's okay to say you feel a certain way when something happens because what you need or what you expected or whatever was blank. That helps people understand where not only why you feel a certain way, but it helps them understand the thing that caused it or what you expected to happen instead, so that you and the other person can get it all on the table, create more healthy expectations, and know how to interact, what know what expectations are, because a lot of us come from different backgrounds and we interpret things and perceive things very differently. So it's just a clear communication style about not only how you feel, but why you feel that way, and maybe what you expected to happen instead. And then you guys can come to a middle ground from there, right? Um, this second tip is similar to the tip that I talked about when I said to not let people walk all over you, because that's an issue with personal boundaries. But it's learning how to say, I'll get back to you. You 99% of the time do not have to give an answer right then and right there. So if you have a problem overcommitting and overextending yourself and you feel like you're put on a spot, it's totally okay to say, you know what, let me get back to you. That's not an avoidance tactic, right? You're going to have to still get back to the person, but it really will allow you some time to think about if you have the time, the space, the energy to do it. And if not, and it's something that has to be done, then how can we brainstorm a way to get this done without letting everything else on your plate fall to the wayside? We all understand that we're only human, even if you think that we don't. And so I like that tip. So those are, I think, the two top tips that I'm at. You know what? I'm gonna give you a third tip. I'm gonna give you a third tip because this will work in your personal life as well. So I want you to just kind of take out a sheet of paper, and I want you to take an inventory of certain areas of your life. With my private clients, I have them look at their work, their finances, their personal relationship with themselves, their relationships with other people, like intimate relationships, partner relationships, and then the relationship with their family. And so look at each of those areas, and I want you to ask yourself, what is it that you truly want in each of these relationships or each of these areas of your life? A lot of times you think that people are walking all over your personal boundaries, but you're not even clear what you want. So therefore you can't really assert the boundaries. So people just tend to walk all over you because you're not even clear about what is acceptable and not in your life. What do you want? So ask yourself in these different areas, what is it that you want? What do you want them to look like? Don't be vague, be super specific on what it is that you want. And now think about, well, how are you in relation to what it is that you truly want? How are things going in each of these areas? And what I find is that if you are not doing well in these certain areas, then you probably have a lack of boundaries that you need to work on. So, for instance, if you in your personal life feel like you want to be healthy, you want to eat better, all of the things, but when you ask yourself the second question, well, how are you doing in that area? And you say not well, I guarantee you, why are you doing well? Because you don't have a healthy boundaries around eating healthy, around moving your body, etc. So then the question becomes, to go deeper, well, what area is the most painful at this moment? And I would start with that area that is more painful, most painful, to start to enact some healthy boundaries around that area, which may stem from you needing help and support from someone like me, like a coach or a therapist or what have you, to help you to dig deeper into the self image issues that are stopping you from being able to assert healthy boundaries in said area. And then you just kind of work out from there. All right. So that is our quick discussion on how to set healthy boundaries at work. I gave you a few tips. I would love to hear your thoughts and comments about today's topic. As always, if you feel led, please spread the word. Please share this video. We need to share this type of information with leaders in healthcare. You know, I was even looking at like the top podcasts in healthcare, and all they're talking about are like medical issues, that type of thing, social justice. However, not to discount those things, but if you can't even fill up your own cup and have your basic needs met, then we all know from that hierarchy, then it's hard for us to see beyond getting involved in our communities, getting involved in social justice and all of that, because we are barely keeping our head above water. And if you do tend to not fill up your own cup, not work on these issues that I'm teaching you about, and go out and try to do those things and do it powerfully and with impact, then you end up being emotionally drained, burned out, taken advantage of, all of the things. And so just share the message. That's all I'm asking. Come back tomorrow, 6 p.m. Central Time, for our next discussion. Again, if you're just now joining us, and if you want to catch some of the replays, I have them in a playlist, and there's information wherever you're watching this with the video in the information box on how you can go back and binge watch all the other episodes. Last thing, and then I will let you go. We have a free ebook. So if you like what you're hearing and you want some more tips and information, then I would advise you to download our free ebook. It's called The Top 5 Mistakes That Leaders in Healthcare Make. It's a quick, easy read, but it's teaching you 5 things that could be detrimental to your career. And one of them is a really surprising one that you may not even think is an issue. In order to get the the ebook, all you have to do is text the word leadership to the phone number 833-231-4407. Again, you can look on the screen. If you want the free ebook, text the word leadership to the phone number 833-231-4407. All right. And I will see you in our next discussion. Last week, I said we only had that was our last live stream. I think I said that Friday. I don't know where I was. We got like 3 more days left. It's 21 days of daily live streams. So I will see you tomorrow.